Welcome. This is day 3 of Unleashing Your Purpose. And today we are going to be talking about trusting your intuition, pushing past those fears, and having faith and the power of faith. And so this topic here is one of the most powerful topics I find. Because it's something that everyone can relate to, in terms of struggling with trusting yourself, struggling with those fears that we may have that are based in our old beliefs or our old paradigms. And so I'm really excited to be coming here today to speak with all of you. Good morning, Sylvia. So as you're hopping on here today, please say hello and let us know where you're watching from. I always like to see, where individuals are from in this community. And so before we get right into it, I wanted to just kind of do a check-in. How is everyone feeling? How have you been enjoying the trainings? How has the homework been going, the workbook? Where are you at? Let me know in the comments below as you're hopping on live or if you're catching this on a replay. Just really want to touch base and check in and see how each and every one of you are doing. So some housekeeping. Again, I just really wanted to acknowledge and thank each and every one of you for participating so far in this training and for showing that you're being persistent. Good morning, Chelsea. Good morning, Kelly. Because I think you really need to give yourselves a pat on the back. And I think it's important to acknowledge the work that you've been doing and the fact that you are making yourself a priority by participating and by doing this work. And so really just wanted to thank each and every one of you. Also wanted to thank those of you that have hopped on a call and that are thinking about hopping on a call because, it really, I'm here for a greater purpose, and I'm here to help guide individuals because my desire really is to set you up for success and to help you become the version that you deserve to be of yourself, whatever that might look like for you, whatever that might mean for you. And so I encourage you, if you've been thinking about it, let us know. Drop breakthrough in the comments below and let us know if you would like to get in on this opportunity of a free breakthrough activation call. Would love to be able to spend that time with you. And a reminder again that the workbook really and truly is important. It augments these trainings because, as we know, and I will stress this again, you need to practice. You need to put into practice what you are learning and what you are taking in. And that's what this workbook is designed to do for each and every one of you. So if you need a copy of this workbook, just let us know and we'll ensure that you get it. All the lives will be happening at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tomorrow is a really, really special live because I will be interviewing someone who has successfully used the power of her mind and manifestation to build the life of her dreams. And she's going to come to us and share how she manifests, what that looks like, and provide you with tangible strategies that you can take forward to unleash your purpose and build the life of your dreams. So if you can catch this live tomorrow, I would highly encourage it. It will be on a replay, but if you are able to catch the live, would highly encourage it. And lastly, there is a giveaway happening in this group for each and every one of you where you have a chance at winning $250. And so if you have been finding value in this training or in the support of this community, all you have to do is share that. All you have to do is share it. So you're sharing something that you feel passionate about. So let us know if you would like the details on how to get in on this giveaway. There's still time. It's happening all this week. And the actual draw will be happening on Sunday evening at 6 p.m. when we do the final live. Okay. So if there aren't any questions, please remember, drop in the comments below how you're doing. If you have any questions so far, how you're enjoying the workbook and the training, just want to do a quick check-in and we'll get right into this. And so fears and intuition and faith. Those are really, really powerful topics to kind of delve into and to get yourself into. And what I'll start off by saying is that the hardest thing in the world for each and every individual is to learn how to trust ourselves. That's one of the hardest things, is to trust our intuition and to trust ourselves. And so often we'll place our trust in other individuals, but when it comes to ourselves, we are always second guessing. And so I'm here today to talk about that we need to stop that. We need to stop second guessing ourselves. And I'm completely guilty of this. I'll admit, I'm completely guilty. In the past, if I had to make a decision, and even now, sometimes that paradigm comes up, I would go around and ask so many different individuals what they thought I should do. I would ask for their guidance. Whenever it was a big decision that I really needed to make, I would ask for their opinions. But what I should have been doing, and what I now put into practice, is I should have been asking the most important person, and that's myself. I should have been asking myself what I should do with an important decision that impacts me personally, not other individuals. So most of the time, when we are going outside of ourselves, when we are asking other individuals, we're ignoring being guided by our intuition. We're ignoring what our gut is trying to tell us that is already in front of us. And what that creates is that we just don't know how to trust ourselves. That there is the real problem. And oftentimes we don't trust ourselves because of our self-image. That is where that often lies. If our self-image is strong, then we would trust ourselves to make any decision that comes our way. But if our self-image is wavering, whether it's about ourselves or in our relationships, or our self-image in relationship to the world around us, if that wavers, then our intuition wavers. Our ability to trust ourselves wavers. There's a quote that I have found that really speaks to this. Advice is what we ask for when we already know the answer and we wish we didn't. How true is that? So deep down, if we can think about a time when we had to make a decision, deep down, if you really truly self-reflect, you likely knew the answer, but you just didn't want to pay attention to that. You didn't want to listen to that. And so oftentimes people or clients will come to me and they'll ask, well, how do I know the difference? How do I know the difference between my intuition, or what I like to refer to as those intuitive hits, our gut speaking to us? How do I know the difference between that intuitive hit and my mind just really trying to talk me into something? That's a worry that a lot of individuals have. And so here's what I will say to you to help guide you in answering that question when it really is your intuitive hit that you need to pay attention to. The first thing, you get the goosebumps. You get those shivers. You know, our body, it holds so many answers, and it tries to give us those answers every single day. And one of the most basic recognitions of a yes, this is something that you need to do is goosebumps. It's those goosebumps. And so you need to trust that. I said this in one of my previous trainings, and I'm going to coin it. You need to trust the bumps. It's really important because that's your intuition. That's your intuition. The second thing is that you feel it inside. You feel it in your heart. It's your heart that's trying to tell you that this is what you should be doing. This is where you need to go. This is the decision. You feel that warmness inside, that happiness inside when you start to think about the answer to the decision that you're trying to make. So that's the second thing, where it's not your mind talking you into it. This is your intuition telling you that you need to follow through. The other is that when you have this decision and you're contemplating this decision, the first answer that comes to your mind is the one that you should pay attention to. The first answer where you didn't deny anything, it was your first response to the decision that you were asking yourself that you needed to make. That's what you need to pay attention to. Oftentimes what happens is afterwards, after that initial response that we get, our mind starts to chatter, right? Our mind starts to second guess, triple guess, whether this is the route that we need to go, whether this is the right direction that we need to take. It's all of those chattering that starts to happen. We start to think about what other people will think. And then that initial response goes away. So what I say to you is, you know it's your intuition when you have that initial response. That's the initial answer that you need to pay attention to. You need to trust that initial fluidity. That's where the true answer lies. That's where it lies, not in that whammo of head rolling and second guessing, and when you're saying to yourself, nope, this is not possible, we can't do this. No, it's that feel good moment of your initial answer. That's what you need to pay attention to. And so let's look at the reverse. When is it your mind talking you into it? When is it your mind that's just trying to convince you that this is where you should be going? Well, first, your brain literally feels tired. You feel tired. You feel foggy. There's this repetition, you're ruminating in your head, and there's just no real clear direction. That's your mind trying to talk you into something that's going against your very being. You feel like you're telling yourself a lie. This is an important one. And we've all done it. If you've done it, where you feel like you've been telling yourself a lie when you've had to make a decision, let me know in the comments below. Drop lie. Because we've all done it. We've all lied to ourselves to try to convince ourselves to do something that we know in our heart we shouldn't be doing. We're only doing it because of external factors. Whether it's because we're trying to please somebody else, we're worried about what other people think, we think this is the expectation that people have of us, and so we lie to ourselves. That's your mind talking you into doing something, and you're not following your intuition and you're not following your gut. Thirdly, you feel like you're beating your head against the wall. You feel like you're not really getting anywhere. That's another sign that it's your mind just trying to talk you into something. And so I want you to really think about these next questions. I want you to really ask yourself these questions. Where do you feel it? Where do you feel it? So when you're needing to make a decision, or think about a time when you had to make a decision, were you feeling it in your head, or were you feeling it in your heart? If you were feeling it in your heart, that's your intuition speaking to you. If you're feeling it in your head, that's your ego. So think about that when you're needing to make an important decision. Another question you should ask yourself is, how many people have I asked about X, Y, and Z problem today? If it's more than one person, and that one person should be you, then that's not intuition. That's not you following your intuitive hits that are trying to guide you. That's your mind trying to talk you into something. The other question, do I feel light and airy when I think about the outcome? Or do I feel a sense of heaviness or despair? If you feel light and airy when you think about the potential outcome, that's your intuition speaking to you. You need to follow that. Our body is designed to help guide us. It doesn't lie. It doesn't lie. Kelly, you said lie. You believe that that's where you are now. And so we need to help shift that for you. We need to help pivot that paradigm and that core belief so that you can start to trust yourself. Do that self-image work. It's so important. So what I'm going to share with you, my journey, for some of you who may or may not know, I'm a social worker by profession, and I've been doing social work for 20 plus years. I started out in healthcare. I'm now in the school board educational system. I have a private practice where I offer mental health services. And so that's how I really, really started out. And then I decided to make that jump to being an entrepreneur and to becoming a mindset and manifestation success coach. And when I talk about it, I'm so excited. I get those goosebumps, I get those shivers. But that journey from then to now hasn't always been an easy one. It's not easy. And there were times when I was making this decision, to take this path, when I was discussing making this decision with my mentor, I went from feeling super excited, this is for me, this is the path I need to be on, to then second guessing myself and allowing my old paradigms to come into place and to telling myself I can't do it and feeling sick to my stomach. So these things, these emotions that we go through, they're not just individual to one person, it's universal. But it's having the ability to reflect on it, to acknowledge it, and then the strategies to move forward from it is what will help you to get to where you need to be, which is your best version of yourself. And we're always striving to do that. So you've probably experienced something similar, or maybe you're going through that right now, and that's why you're in this training. Where you're trying to pursue your own goals, your own dreams. Most people, actually, before I get into that, have you experienced that, or are you currently experiencing that? Where you're struggling to trust yourself in going after your dreams or your goals? Drop yes in the comments below. So most people, they're reluctant. Most people are reluctant to step out and act on a big idea, and that reluctance is based in fears. It's fears around what you will lose or what you have the potential to lose. That's right, Chelsea. Your brain is designed to keep you safe, but that is because that is your conscious mind feeding your subconscious mind, right? So if your learnings and your experiences in life has trained your brain to stay where you're comfortable, then that's what you believe. But you can change that. You can train your brain to go outside of your comfort zone. You can train your brain that that's where the magic happens. And if that's what you feed your subconscious, then that is the habit that you will learn. So that's a paradigm talking to you. Thank you for sharing that, Chelsea. And so what I would say is that we are all reluctant. We want to stay in our comfort zone. That's where we want to sit. But, if you really, really think about it, what is the worst that can happen to you? The worst that can happen to you is usually not all that bad. But the best thing that can happen to you is phenomenal. And so that's what you need to recognize. That when we are faced with a decision that tries to push us outside of our comfort zone, there's an internal battle that's happening within our mind. Our mind, and this is what Chelsea talked about, our mind is trying to keep us where we're comfortable because that's what we know. That's where we have been trained to stay. But what happens outside of that comfort zone is magical. And that's the only place where you will then learn and grow and become who you are meant to be. That is the place where you will unleash your purpose. And so we need to push past that terror barrier. You know, we hit that terror barrier and our mind tries to keep us here. We need to push past it. So what you need to understand is we have our conscious mind, which is our thinking mind. And then we have our subconscious mind, which is our emotional mind. So our emotional mind is based on all of our core beliefs, our paradigms, experiences that we have had. And that in turn is what shapes our behaviors and our habits. And so our conscious mind is constantly feeding our subconscious mind, our emotional mind. And then that in turn comes out into automatic thoughts. Whether we are aware of them or not, we all have these automatic thoughts that are coming into our head on a day-to-day basis when we are faced with different experiences, different situations, decisions that we need to make. And these automatic thoughts are based on our perceptions of the way we have seen things, not facts. This is a theme that continues to come up over and over again, and I'm going to continue to repeat it because it's through repetition where we learn and where we begin to change. And so you need to understand that oftentimes these thoughts that are fueling our emotions and our behaviors are not based in facts. And these perceptions that we have, they feed into our fear. They cultivate indecision. It cultivates doubt. And that's what keeps us back here in our comfort zone. So fear is really nothing more than a state of mind. And we control the direction in which our state of mind goes. This is a really important concept to understand and to learn and to take in. Fear is only a state of mind. And we have the power and the control over that. So when we're faced, this is what happens in our mind. When we're faced with our intuitive hit, our mind goes into overdrive. It wants to convince us to stay where we are. It starts to bring up all those old beliefs that we have, all those insecurities that we have, because it's fighting. It's fighting your intuition. And it's a very, very uncomfortable feeling because your paradigm wants you to stay where things are comfortable and where things are familiar. It doesn't want you to go into unknown, uncharted territory. And so it goes into this overdrive and it fights really, really hard. And so that's what happens. That's what happens when we impress a new idea on our subconscious mind. We immediately start to try to figure out how we're going to do it. But we are only focusing on what we know. We are only focusing on our current situation. And what we know does not support the uncharted territory. And so that's why we're reluctant to move forward, to keep learning and to keep growing. We limit ourselves to what we already know. And so what I would say to you to help challenge this whole process that happens internally is to really, the next time you are thinking of a big idea or you're thinking of a big decision, maybe you have one right now. And so go through this process with me. Instead of trying to figure out how it's going to happen, I want you to think about this. You need to recognize that you have simply introduced a new idea, and it doesn't yet mix with your old idea of yourself. So you're going to sit with that. You're going to recognize it. Yeah, this is a new idea. It's not quite fitting with the way I've seen myself, but that's okay. It's a new idea. Second, rather than letting your old ideas, your old paradigms win and keep you stuck in where you are, you're going to keep impressing that new idea on your subconscious mind. And you're going to do that through gratitude and through faith. It's that auto-suggestion that we talked about yesterday. It's that repetition. You're just going to gently continue to impress it on your subconscious mind. Thirdly, you're going to keep pushing. You're going to keep pushing into that unknown territory that you have fallen in love with, that your heart knows is where you need to go. So you're going to keep pushing. Because fear and growth, they go hand in hand. You cannot separate the two. In order to learn and in order to grow, you will experience fear. It's just not allowing it to take over. It's taking control. And so we can't talk about fear and intuition without talking about faith. Faith is paramount because it's putting your trust in not necessarily knowing the how you're going to get to where you need to be. It's putting trust in faith that once you make that decision, it will happen. And so oftentimes, once you've made that decision, things will start to happen to help support that decision. Who here has experienced that in the past when you were faced with a decision and finally made it one way or another, and then things started to fall into place? I know I have. That's your faith. And so how do you cultivate faith? How do you build faith? Firstly, you have to practice patience. There's beauty to be found in the journey. And it's not always a quick journey. A flower, the seed of a flower, is not designed to grow and bloom in one day. A butterfly doesn't spread its wings from the cocoon. So we cannot expect ourselves to just automatically one day wake up and have faith. It takes patience and it takes time. But you need to understand that if you continue towards that end goal of having faith, you need to trust that the timing of things have a purpose. Take your cues from nature. The timing of things have a purpose. Secondly, you need to continue your practice. So you may not necessarily always have the heart or the understanding behind it, but there's power. There's power in continuing to practice those things that help you feel more connected to yourself. And sometimes even greater than yourself. You need to keep practicing those things, whatever those spiritual practices may be. And they don't necessarily need to be based in religion, but they certainly can be if that is where your faith lies. So it's really important to understand that. So it could be yoga, it could be meditation, exercise, music, spiritual practices, prayer. It's important to continue those practices. Lastly, the other way to cultivate faith is to serve others. It's to have an attitude of service, because there is no joy in faith if you do not share it. How do you feel when you have serviced someone else, when you have helped someone else? It doesn't have to be big. It could be something very gentle and simple. But how does that make you feel? It makes you feel happy, may make you feel proud, may make you feel like you've accomplished something, like there's good in this world. All of that cultivates faith. Serving others, even if you're in your own hardship, it helps your mind, your body, and your soul. It helps all those areas holistically to recognize that there is a world beyond whatever it is that you're going through. And that sometimes there's something greater happening that we don't necessarily understand. And so how powerful is an attitude of service, an act of service, if this is what it helps you to understand, that there is a greater power. And so you have this unique opportunity to help create a world of healing for yourself and for others. Faith is not knowing the how. It's trusting that you will get there. Very, very powerful. And so what I would say to each and every one of you is I want you to really, really think about a decision that you've been wanting to make. I want you to go back to those goals. You know how I asked you to think about what is your big goal? I like to call it your big, hairy, audacious goal. So what is your big, hairy, audacious goal? Barrier-free. That goal that you have in your mind that you would love to achieve. And I want you to come back to this training. I want you to come back to your workbook. And I want you to do those suggestions and those activities. Because I guarantee fear is holding you back. I guarantee your ego mind is holding you back. I guarantee that you are not trusting faith and you're not trusting the process. And so I really, really want you to put this into practice. Because if you can put this into practice, you will experience a shift. There is power in going outside of your comfort zone. It is scary, but if it excites you at the same time, you need to follow that. And so my question to each and every one of you is, are you ready? Are you ready to put faith over fear? If you're ready, drop faith in the comments below. If you're ready to get on a call, drop faith in the comments below. I want this for each and every one of you. I want each and every one of you to experience that magic. And so let's see your faith grow. Let's cultivate your faith. As always, myself and Jordana are here to answer any questions that you have throughout this week. Tomorrow is going to be an amazing live interview. So be sure to catch it either live or on replay. And then we're back again on Friday to talk about the power in decision making and how to do that. Thank you to each and every one of you who have joined here today live and who are catching the replay. I appreciate you, Sabrina.